Welcome everyone to Monday Night Madness with Greg, Amy, and myself, Zuzu. We're excited because this is going to be a rerun many, many times listened to, because so many times we hear our students who are like, I just don't know what I should do next. And I really want to do this, but I just don't know if I can. And I don't have the money, or I've got little children, or I'm not sure if my husband will be supportive. And I just don't know. We've been there. And so we are so glad that you're here as we talk about overcoming the odds and creating the shift in your life. Because really, let's face it, where focus goes, energy flows. And sometimes we can say that 100 times, but to really understand it and take that leap of faith, it's a big thing. So we are just really excited that you're here. And we're excited to share. This is a personal story day. So we're gonna share quite a bit of personal stories on what we've all done that have probably seemed quite crazy to people with normal thinking patterns. And we're just like, no, it's what we are led to do. And then we get from point A to point B, and we've had some great successes. And it's also been a wonderful decades for me, and I'm positive for Amy as well as Greg, in learning forgiveness and learning patience and learning to see the good and not focus on the negative, because what you focus on, you always attract, right? And so we're just really excited to share this with you. So thank you for joining us for this Monday Night Madness. Amy, want to jump in there?
Yeah, so I'm really looking to share my part after you and Greg go. But I actually requested this tonight's call topic was a combination of Karen and I, because she wanted to do one on creating that shift in someone's life, or what are those key decisions that change everything. And I told her we spent so much time talking about livers and gallbladders and reproductive organs and receptor sites that we should really just take a call to just talk about life and kind of what we've been through and some of the most powerful lessons we learned along the way. Because at the end of the day, this is a school of natural medicine, and a big part of the holistic lifestyle is there's actually nothing off the table. It's like, how do we think and where do we live and what decisions do we make? That all contributes so much to the end outcome of our lives, and it's highly relevant. So yeah, that's just a little bit of background behind how this today's call topic got on the schedule, because you guys get to see Karen and I when we're doing our favorite thing ever, which is providing education to you. But there's going to be challenges in anyone's road. And I'll just say this before I pass it back to Karen and Greg, is that I always think it's interesting how many of us like ask to be a tool, in the hands of God, or want to be part of the mission. And we are okay with going through some level of the refiner's fire until we're actually in the refiner's fire. And then we're like, what's wrong with me? Like, where did I mess up this bad? Or what's wrong with me? I'm terrible. And it's like, I always think that's the biggest irony. Like we asked to go through this process to become a better tool, or to become a better giver or a better healer. And then sometimes in the process of that training or that learning experience, there's actually a lot of judgment that happens. So I know you're going to hear some inspiration from Karen's story, and I'm sure you're going to hear some words of wisdom from Greg's story. But what I hope you hear from my part is really an insight into the best mental health tools I've learned in the process of doing a job that I felt far exceeded my skill set and my capacity when I started it. So yeah, Karen, over to you, girlfriend.
Okay, well, I'll start. That's cool. Is that cool?
Very cool.
So I consider myself a visionary. We all have gifts, and I think most of you have probably maybe found some of yours. And that's just one that I know that I was given. I can see a building, and then I can see what's supposed to happen in the building. I don't always see between point A and point B. And so even when I was younger and I was doing, quite a bit with business, and I mean, I did a first grand opening when I was 19. I opened up a big, gym, a gold gym. And so that, big stuff, right? And lots of fun. But I always could see the day of grand opening. I couldn't see how to get there. And so that's something that I've really learned to develop. And I love that, because it's really helped me not fear to point B, because I know I've already been given that vision. I know that I believe it so strong in my heart that sometimes everything kind of falls into place. And so I kind of wanted to share this, but I also wanted to start off by sharing, there's been a lot of trials. I had a wonderful cleaning company, 17 employees. We did very well. We did everything from new construction to monthly to suicide. We did a lot, and we worked with a lot of amazing contractors. And I just happened to be gone taking my family on a little vacation, my 5 little children, right, on a vacation. And 2 of my staff members actually bid against me. And they're my top employees. Like, they're paid very well, very happy. They bid against me and they took one of my contracts. It was a $50,000 contract a year. I came back to that with my 2 main people gone, and they took this contract. And I'll tell you, I had to really get through that. And I had to not have hate towards them at all. Like, I was a forgiving and good human, and I really worked through that. But I'll tell you, I stopped to see both of those ladies about 3 years later to check in on them. And they were not well, and they were horribly apologetic. Like, it hurt them. But had I held anger and hate towards them, or wanted to sue them, or done something, I would have lived with that also. And I saw that. And so it was much easier for me to go, let this go. You're going to get through this. You've got a great company. Your staff is amazing. What will happen to them will happen to them. And it was very interesting to see that that's actually what happened. So along the way, you're going to have things that definitely are big bumps, right? You're going to have big things. I had another with my whole Karen's Holistic Health. I had hired a couple, and they were in, I had thought they were wonderful, helped them through all their health ailments. It was great, but we moved our headquarters to Utah instead of Wisconsin, and it just became very easy for them to embezzle money until it came to tens of thousands, and huge things had happened. And I'm like, oh, like, and so again, same thing, close the company, close Wisconsin in 2 weeks. And I was like, I'm going to move forward from this. And so, like, these things can happen. I caught it relatively quickly, even though it was a vast amount of money, but, there's just things that happen in your life. And so if you can find and put in the front of your foremind, what's it called? Front of
In the front of your
vision. Anyhow, if you can put that end result,
forefront.
the forefront, that's the word. I knew there was a brain in there somewhere for them. It's going to be great. So vision boards are amazing. Like, I teach it to everybody, except I teach them different. So I'm going to share with you how I do vision boards, because it works. I think I love it. I used to teach the vision board. You cut out pictures and words, and you make a big vision board and you stare at it all the time. But I came up with another one. I heard another one, and that is what I've been teaching for the last at least 10 years, because it works phenomenally. So I'll teach that, because I did that for many, 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 many years. Anyhow, so I guess I just wanted you to know that you're talking to someone who's lost a lot of money. I've definitely lost dear friends. And I have definitely lost my family. As many of you know, I left a church that I raised my children in, and some of my children have said I'm a spiritual danger, so I can't talk to their kids or my grandkids anymore. And I'm over that, because the biggest thing that I can share with you on any of those things that have happened in my life, or that can happen in your life, is, and if you're a stepmother or stepfather, this is gold, right? You are going to raise your children or your stepchildren because you want to. So when you throw the birthday parties, and you throw the wedding parties, and you do this and you do that, and you make great meals, and you make birthday cakes, and you go shopping for Christmas, and you do all these things, you become the Girl Scout leader. It's because you want it. It's because I wanted to. I wanted to do that. And so all of a sudden, instead of having this sadness and this bitterness and this anger, because, like, what did I do? How could I lose this? Right? I love these staff members. I love this person. How could they have betrayed me when I helped them get rid of these irreversible diseases and blah, 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 blah? How could they have done this? When I look at it and go, well, I felt inspired to hire them, and I loved them, and I've taught them a lot that hopefully they're sharing with others, or I've raised these children and I love them, and I've done it because I wanted to do it. When we take responsibility for our actions and the outcomes of them, everything just gets easier. So if so when you have that vision and you're going from point A to point B, whatever it might be, stay out of the lane of blame. Stay out of the lane of regret. And if you look at my frequency chart, all you students that are watching, blame and regret are 2 of the lowest frequencies you can possibly emit to the universe, right? So we do not blame and we do not regret. We do not do that. We don't despair. Those are 3 of the bottom ones, right? We want to live in possibility. We want to live in vision and in insight. And so that's something that I just, before we even move any further, I just really want you to understand is that you must own whatever's going to happen between point A and point B, but you must see point B. If you don't have a vision, then you don't want to start anything. You don't want to go on a path and be like, I'm just going to like quit my job and see what happens. No, that's not responsible. Responsibility is I'm going to quit my job because I'm going to open up a wellness center. I'm going to open up a daycare center. I'm going to become a chef. I'm going to cook personal meals for people and sell them at the offices nearby. I'm going to make wonderful, organic, healthy meals and take them on a food truck, and I'm going to sell them at the office down the road. Like whatever it is, have point B in your mind, because then, as we're going to talk about tonight, you're going to start doing things leading to point B, and you're going to drop things that you're sitting at right now, because the biggest thing is if you don't change what you're doing now, you will never get to point B. You're going to need to get out of your comfort zone. You are going to need to stretch yourself, because if you just stay comfortable where you're at right now, forget point B. It's never going to happen. It's going to stretch your finances. It's going to stretch your patience. You're not going to sleep as much at night. There's a lot of things. It's going to be really exciting along the way, but we really want to have that point B in your mind. So I'll talk about the vision boards that we teach and stuff, Amy, as well. But Greg, do you want to add to that at all? Do you want to share anything right away?
Right away?
Well, you can take your time like Amy. I don't care. You're a little insane. You did quit like an incredible job, and you have quite an incredible career to just become a bum.
Yeah, that's what I did. I quit a good paying government job to become a bum. But
Who says that? So I didn't call him that.
but I was in a place in my life where I was not happy in the job, and I had gotten divorced against my will, and I discovered that I had the financial wherewithal that I didn't have to do a job that I hated, and I could take 3 or 4 years if I wanted to figure out where I was going. And so I walked away from the job. And I can testify to what she just said. You need to be able to see point B before you start on point A, because I had no point B. I was going to do something, and guess what? That something never really rolled around. And so I was out of work for about 1.5 years when we met. So now I have a brand new mission in life. But that's takes me back to I'm a Jordan Peterson fan. If you've ever heard me talk, I usually bring something up. But one thing that I've heard him talk about, and I think it's a great point. He says you see a lot of people who they're political activists, or they're proselytizing for some faith or something. They're really dedicated to it, and they're really working hard at it. But when you look behind the scenes, their personal life is a mess. And he said, you really need to put your own house in order before you try to change the world or save the world. And people do this so that they don't have to put their life in order. Because if you try and save the world or change the world, very few people change the world. And if they save the world, it doesn't say save for very long. But if you try to do that and you fail, well, there's nobility in that, because you sacrifice for something. But if you can't get your own house in order, there's not nobility in that. You're just a loser, and people don't want to be a loser. But he says you can't affect the world. You can't affect other people if you don't have your house in order. And that's why he says, when you get up in the morning, make your bed. And he said, just start right there. Make your bed every morning, and then make your house look a little better and a little better. Make your life better. Make your relationships better. Make sure you have your house in order before you go out and try and change other people. Because what y'all do in this work is to change people's lives. I watch Karen do it all the time. She's doing it with several members of my family right now. But in order to do that, you have to have your life in order. And I'm a big proponent of Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life. And one of the rules, the second rule, is treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Because studies have shown that we are more likely to give all of the medicine to the dog that the vet tells us to than we are to give all the medicine to ourselves that the doctor tells us to. We will stop taking our medicine before it's gone, but we make sure the dog will get all of his, or the cat will get all of hers. And so, I mean, I'm not sitting here right next to somebody who neglects her own health because she's trying to save the world. And we've been having that discussion lately, trying to get her to sit down and get off this bum knee and stop running around and trying
Okay, so I tore
trying to do-
something.
and
It's
trying
in
to
the way.
do
It's in the
everything
way.
in the
I'm
world.
busy.
And she's busy. She's like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. It's like, no, you got to sit on the couch with your laptop and do that, because you got to get off that knee. And so you have to treat yourself like you're someone you should be helping before you can go out and help other people. And I think that's a great rule for life.
Yep. And I do. And it's interesting because whenever I had the point B, so for those of you who don't know me very well, this is one of the first calls. So I've had 2 successful cafes and restaurants and wellness centers. We had 2 daycare centers in 2 different cities in Wisconsin, did very, very well. The only reason we closed those is because they made it, you could have free daycare at your schools, right? So I was, years ago. Anyhow, so we've done it quite a bit. We had a wonderful wedding business that is still up and running. We sold it years ago, about 2014. We did about 800 weddings before we left, and we never had a wedding there before. So we just built that whole property up. Anyhow, so we've done quite a bit. And then of course we have holistic health educators and now Lily Fields. So there's a lot of vision, and that is a huge thing. And I'm so glad you brought that up. I make sure, and he can attest to it, and anybody who's ever been on the property, my house is in order. It's in order. The kitchen is in order. The house is in order. The laundry keeps moving. The plants get watered, right? Like things must stay working, or I can't give to anybody else. I can't. I feel guilty. So that is one thing I've definitely been very good of. That doesn't make sense, but careful of. And yeah, it is true. You're all going to find that. Finally, it literally took about 4 weeks before I sat down and I was like, darn it, I've got to fix my leg. I'm in so much pain every single day from whatever I tore. And that was when I said, what would I tell somebody else? And I sat there and made my list and I started doing it, right? Even though no matter how many times he would tell me, or my kids or Amy or anybody else, or half the office staff that's like, are you off your feet yet? It didn't matter until it hits home to you. So yeah, that does make a big difference. But these are, so it sounds basic, but this is a great point to start. You want me to talk about the vision board right now, Amy, or do you want to jump in? Okay, so the vision board, this is really a cool thing to do. I need to grab a pen. Okay, so you take a piece of paper and then you're going to do 2 things. You're going to make this vision board, but you're also going to get a little journal. So this is a little vision board. Those of you who are coming to the retreat, we're going to actually do this. This is part of the welcome activity. And so you have 9 squares, and you're going to write in each square something you want to see happen one day, an extra 0 on your bank account. More dates with your husband. You want to learn piano, right? Play basketball better, learn how to play soccer so you can play with your grandkids, whatever it might be. You get someone to clean your home, right? You're going to put these things on this vision board. And this is literally how simple it is. Remember, where focus goes, energy flows. Write that down. Put that on your computer. Put it on your little nightstand. Put it in your refrigerator. Put it on your car rearview mirror. Like well, not maybe there, but you got to put it everywhere. Where focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows. You're going to focus on this at night before you go to bed, because I'm here to tell you, you go to bed. Your bodies all need to sleep, right? Nate's going to crash and Amy's going to sleep and Catherine's going to go to bed and Yolanda's going to crash, right? All of your physical bodies are going to bed, but where do you go? Where does Nate go? Where does Amy go? Right? Where do I go? Where do our spirits go? Our spirits don't sleep. You who makes you don't sleep. And we don't know what happens to us when we're sleeping. We just know we're not conscious of it, right? I am here to tell you it's going to be busy making this happen. I do not know how, because I am not God, but I'm telling you something magical happens because this works across the board. It is unbelievable what you're going to find happening. So when you look at these things, I want to go on a cruise with my best friend or whatever it might be. You put them on there, and at night you look at this vision board and picture every one of these things happening. Just picture opening up a bank account and there's an extra 0. Picture the date nights, picture having the kids get better grades, whatever it might be. And then in the morning, you do the same thing. You pull it up, get right next to your bed, and you look at all 9 of those things. Now, here's the fun part. You do that at night and in the morning. I've done this so many times. Our family has done this together as a family. For years, we did it. And then we had a prayer wall. So there's a cool Christian movie called War Room. I'd encourage anybody to watch it. It's very cool. It makes y'all feel fuzzy inside. But anyhow, we took that and we made it, but I don't like the name war. So I made a prayer door. And so the inside of one of our closets, we had this hanging, and then we would gather as a family to pray, and we'd pray for the family and things we were praying for, but then we'd include some of these things in our earnest wishes and desires, right? And then I had a little book, a little journal, and that journal, we would start writing when all these things would happen and come true. And it was amazing because they all started happening. They would just start coming true, one after another. And we did that for years. So I'm just here to encourage you, really make yourself that vision board and put your energy and your focus into that at night and in the morning. And again, I don't know where I go at night. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I swear I was visiting my mom last night. Well, maybe you Like, we don't know. We don't have answers to those things. But what I can say is our mind and our subconscious is very busy trying to figure out, how am I going to make those 9 things happen? How am I going to make those 9 things happen? And many of you, I'm positive, have woken up with an inspiration at 3:30 or 4 in the morning. 3:30 to 4:30 in the morning is when you wake up with inspiration. Don't get frustrated when you wake up at 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning. I have next to my bed, and my sweetheart can attest, a pad of paper and a pen, and I will be writing things from 3:30 until 4:30, and then I'll crash and I'll go back to bed. Like, it happens all of the time. So don't be mad when you wake up at 3:30 or 4:30. I mean, maybe be sad if you can't get back to bed again. That has happened because my mind keeps going. But normally I can write down my inspiration or my thoughts and then get back to sleep. And that is universal across the world. If you go online, you're going to find a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, I get up at 3:30 every day and I have inspiration. That's okay. And if you think about the body cycle, many of you are my students, right? Your body is coming out of assimilation. You have just assimilated the food and nutrients that you just ate. You're getting ready for detoxification hour, which starts between 4 and 5. How appropriate is it that you wake up, you've just assimilated not just your physical body, but your spirit's been assimilating, and you wake up with inspiration. Boom, 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 right? It is so cool. So I just would really encourage you to start that kind of a vision board. It's so simple. You don't got to cut and paste things out. I mean, you can, it still looks cool. Amy has a really cool one. I've done them in the past, but I'm telling you, it's this simple. But get with faith, get that little journal and just put down number 1, and you wait for whichever one it is to start coming true. And then you write down the date and what happened. And then you write a new one. You put a new little square in there. But again, you're changing your focus and you're dropping your fear. And so you can read my whole section in the book on fear, but really encourage yourself to listen to Joe Dispenza and How to Break the Habit of Being Yourself and all the wonderful feel good, meditations and guided imagery that's out there. You can do your own on your own self. You can do tapping. There's so many resources to get from point A to point B, but you're the biggest resource. And so you are the driving factor. And if you're going to get up and make something happen, you are going to make your bed, and you are going to start eating better. You are going to start juicing, or you're going to start eating more fruits in the bed. You're going to get the energy you need to get to point B. If you get up with this vision, but you go eat ramen noodles for breakfast, or you eat a bunch of, cooked icky food that's not healthy, you're gonna have a lot harder time getting to point B with a clear mind. So it's just some factors there.
Yeah, Karen, and I want to put a lot of what you've just said into one of my favorite concepts, which is striking that really wonderful balance between the ethereal and the material world. I noticed that when we spend too much time in either of those planes, it can really stagnate our growth. For example, this practice of vision board is very ethereal. It's very spiritual. It's very in your head. You're tapping into the spiritual energy of things that haven't materialized in the material world yet, but they will. But then obviously, Greg's concepts of keeping your home in order and taking care of the little actions that are going to get you there, that's definitely being mindful of the material world. And so I just love the concept of striking that middle balance. One of my favorite sayings is, be irrational, but don't be irresponsible. And I love that. It's be irrational, but don't be irresponsible. It's of course, you're going to have to break the mold and go against common thinking if you want to be a change maker or live with freedom, but also you can still take care of home base and take care of the people you're in charge of. So yeah, super love that. I want to redo my 9-grid vision board before sleeping. Who here's a little sold on that idea after Karen pitched it? I'm okay, don't need any more convincing over here. Thank you very much for that, Big K. Greg, is there anything you want to share after that?
I also quite enjoy rule number 9, and that is do what is meaningful, not just what is expedient. And I myself am guilty of that, of just doing the things I enjoy doing, or doing the things that are easiest, or get through the quickest, and putting off the stuff that is the hardest but is the most meaningful.
You mean editing Liv for the 4th version? You guys, he's our final editor. He's so excited.
It's interesting. It's interesting that's how you interpreted that rule, because I actually had the opposite interpretation when you're saying do what is meaningful, not just what is expedient. For me, that's lean more into the meaningful parts of life instead of just doing what you think you need to do every single day, you know?
Right. What is meaningful?
Yeah.
I love that.
Love that. Greg, do you have any other comments before I get to my list written on the back of this Dunkin' Donuts bag?
How could I make people wait for a list written on a Dunkin' Donuts bag? So why don't you just go ahead?
Okay, just had to give you an opportunity here, but no, I've really been thinking about this for a while. I just wanted to jot it down so I didn't forget. As I was pondering what I wanted to share tonight about this whole concept of overcoming obstacles and creating shifts in your own life, these are the three things that I really came to. The first one is to I just want to throw this out there, you guys. There's a lot of voices out there sharing like what is like quote unquote the best way to live. And there's a lot of self-improvement books out there. And I just want to ask you guys, which personality types are the most likely to publish books? Is it going to be a personality type that's highly structured and maybe has a little bit more rigidity in their life, but they're good at getting stuff done? Or is it going to be someone who has a highly like adaptive, maybe more flowacious schedule and still gets a lot of things done, but they're not writing books? I only ask this because there's a disproportionate amount of influence in the self-improvement area and in the routines and self-improvement books and a lot of areas where we hear a lot of voices about how should you be living. There's a disproportionate amount of representation of the personality types that frankly get stuff done really quickly and efficiently. And I'm sharing this because I put myself through a lot of judgment my first 5 years in business because that's not actually my natural personality type. And I did need to learn how to be better at my job. And I did need to learn where could be more efficient. And I did need to learn how to live with structure. But you guys will waste a lot of mental energy comparing yourself and beating yourself up for not fitting into the shape and size of someone else who wrote a book. I don't even care about those guys. They wrote a book. Congratulations. I'm glad you have a 5-part morning routine. You wake up at 5 a.m. That's not me at all. That is not me at all. I tried so long to do the morning routines and wake up at that time and live in their structured paradigm of what a successful business person looked like. And I just met myself with continual repeated judgment until I just sat back and I was like, man, the women who are like me are like literally hosting a party for all the foster kids in their neighborhood at the community town hall and having like a basketball competition with a bunch of like, a chili dinner competition at the same, whatever. I was like, are they really representing me or not? So this is all to say, obviously get better at your job. Like obviously make improvement. We're all here to improve. We're all here to do better. But my number one point is do it your way. Like do it your way.
Hey, if I could jump in here,
What's that?
Rule number 4, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So, I want to paint one last visual here. It's like picture yourself like in a minivan going down the freeway, juggling like 15 things and just feel the stress in your body of like, oh shoot, I got to get this sent. I got to get this returned. I got to respond to this person. I have these unanswered text messages. I have these unanswered emails. I still need to log into my HEG library and complete my coursework so I can graduate by May 18th. Anyway, I have all this stuff to do and you're like stressing while you're driving on the freeway. You guys, we made this up. We made this up. We made up freeways and cars and emails and text messages. Like mankind created that stuff very recently. And now we're all like just comparing ourselves to the standard of this entire lifestyle that we just created. And that's just to say, we have the same power to unsubscribe to that, to those expectations. You were maybe unconsensually subscribed to that lifestyle or to that level of expectation or that level of stress or that level of involvement or that level of irons in the fire. But we can unsubscribe from that. Totally. Okay. So I just want to mention that Once again, not saying it's not because we don't need to improve, but it's because we're not looking for 80% of our mental bandwidth to be filled with negative voices about ourselves and what we're doing, right? We're going to be a lot happier and more productive if we're like, I get to do this my way. Okay. Are we all in agreement? Please raise your hand if you're understanding the point I am trying to make it this time. Okay. Thank you very much. On to my next point is that, mistakes they're not just part of it. There's a portion of mistakes that are actually the point of it. So I'm going to repeat that. Mistakes aren't just part of it. Sometimes mistakes are the point of it. And I'm not really going to elaborate on that much right now. I just need you guys to know that I wrote a little poem to myself about entrepreneurship one time when I was like, success is not like how fast can you get how many clients, can you reach how many people, can you reach what numbers of reach and followers and revenue, like how fast can you do it and how extraordinarily can you succeed. That's not the measure of success to me in business. I was like, the measure of success is to me is how many times can I screw up an email campaign? How many times can I forget to respond to something really important? How many times can I accidentally miss up an integration? How many mistakes can I make? How many times can I embarrass myself? How many times can I feel like I totally fell flat on my face and set myself back by 6 months and still believe I'm the woman for the job? Like, how many mistakes can I make and still know that the blueprint in my heart is like literally destiny, and it's just a matter of time before it materializes in the material world. And my job is to not give up. That's literally what my job is, to keep showing up, keep trying my hardest and not give up. That's my job. You guys are like looking at someone who did not naturally succeed in business. Like, it's been very hard for me to learn all of the skill sets you need to run a company in the 21st century. But and I'm so patient for our whole HHE community who's like been right there with us while Mom and I took this thing from like a family business in Wisconsin to now like an international school. So we love you guys forever for that. But I'm just saying, as you go through your own process and you're making mistakes and you're like, oh, does this mean I'm a failure? Like, does this mean I'm not meant for the job? Or, oh, does this mean I'm not going to make it? It's like, no, it's like, it's part of it. If you're ever feeling really bad, you can just like call me and ask for the biggest mistakes I've made, and I'll definitely make you feel better. Like that one time I sent the wrong Zoom link out for graduation of 14,000 people before it started an hour later. Examples like that, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to feel better about the spelling error you made in your pitch deck after you hear some of the stuff that I've pulled off. Okay. So anyway, that was the second point. And the third point is to fill your circle with people you got to have at least a couple people who really do actually believe in you, because there will be times like you doubt yourself so much. You need the evidence of someone else in your life telling you to like get out of your head and reminding you of like who you are and what you're capable of. And that person is definitely my mom. She's like always believed in me. And then also, coaches. I've hired coaches because you might, on one hand, you might be like, oh, but you're paying someone to believe in you. It's not about that. It's that these people can actually like help you remind you of who you are and what your strengths are, and know how to work with that and from a place of your strengths so that you can get better and better and liberate more of your mental headspace, so that you're not, I mean, you guys can relate to this, right? If you go through a day and 80% of your thoughts are negative, how productive are you going to be compared to like feeling aligned and realizing like who you are and what you have to give the world? It's going to be a completely different day. It's very worth the investment to have someone who's invested in your headspace. And that's what the coaching field is all about. You are consensually opening up your mind to let someone else in and do a little audit on all the thoughts running through your brain and helping you point out which ones are helping you and which ones are not. It's like one of the best investments you can ever make. So you got to have those people. Catherine, I saw you give me a little love eyes there. Catherine's one of those people. She's done neurolinguistic programming sessions with me and she's phenomenal. I highly recommend her, but you got to have that person who can help you get your headspace right. So those are my 3 things. Have people, make mistakes, do it your way. That doesn't sound so good when I read them in order.
You got it.
But I think you guys get my point.
And I would love to share on that, Amy, too. I was just bursting over here, excited because having that support group, even if it's a 1-person support group when you're starting, just finding that group of people. Now, a lot of you you've got it made. You're part of Holistic Health Educators. You have a support group that surrounds you every Monday, every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every other day because you make all these good friends, right? Which is wonderful. But and then you need that. There's nothing. I love mind mastering, and so getting that group of people, and if you have a point B in your mind, like I think I'm going to do this. Gather 5 or 6 people, your friends, people that are associates from Holistic Health Educators, from your work, whoever it might be, people you look up to, not people that are naysayers and depressing and find everything wrong. You don't need them in your life. You want the people that are really positive, right? And you want to have a mind master with them. Just say, hey, I need you for a couple hours. I'll give you all $50, or I'll give you all a free, whatever, pass to your local grocery store for something, or farmer's market, $20, whatever. Offer them something because their time and their expertise is valuable. And then literally meet with them, because having a bunch of minds at one time thinking about what you want to focus on and what your thoughts are going to be, they're going to bring up potential things that you might not watch for. They're going to point out your things that you're really good at, and be honest with them and be like, hey, what am I going to screw up? What can you guys see? What are some of my pitfalls a little bit that you might be concerned about? Ask them that. I have asked people that. So ask people what they think of you, because this isn't about you. It's about the vision. It's about point B, and you're going to need to get to point B. And along the way, you need people, you need help. You need visionaries with you, right? So I just love that idea that you brought that up, Amy, because you do want to surround yourself with people who are inspiring, people who want to work with you, people who want to help you, not people who are going to, I'll never forget it. Like, you guys, I'm a single mom, 5 kids, $40 to my name when I left gym. $40. That's all I got. Nothing. The divorce, I didn't even go for nothing. I didn't care. I just had to get out from what we were living in. So $40 to my name. A friend of mine let me live in his house. This is an incredible story. He said, here, there's this building I'm going to renovate and I'm going to sell, but why don't you take the 5 kids and live there? It was December 18th of 1999. Live in this house until you get your feet on your ground. So I take my 5 kids. I had a freezer full of food. I had no washer, no dryer, no refrigerator. And I had 1 twin bed. That's all I left with. That's all he'd let me take. 1 twin bed, no couches, and then some toys and kids' clothes. That's it. And I moved into that house, and let me tell you, my vision was I'm going to open up a wedding center on this property, and I'm going to open up a daycare center in that building too. We had 3 buildings on the property. I have no idea how one woman with $40 and 5 kids, one still nursing, was going to do that. I had no idea. I'll share the link when I find it, unless one of our staff members can find it. It's on our podcast, but it's a link as to how it's on our podcast. I can't remember the name of it. I think something with the butterfly, but anyhow, it was amazing to watch that happen, because it wasn't me. I had the vision. And then when I started calling companies saying, hey, I'm a single mom, I just need paint. What paint can you donate? I'll take anything, just donating paint. I had hundreds of gallons of paint donated, brand new gallons of paint that they had mixed up the wrong color. Got a 55-gallon jug, those huge water containers, mix the color of paint. I wanted to paint the inside of this 3-story church building that I wanted to open my wedding center in, right? With a big handle. Like, it all started happening. Single groups started coming and helped me paint, and people just started showing up and helping me get rid of all the asbestos and the mold. And it was just absolutely amazing. But I didn't have an idea of how to get there. I could never have done that. It was a teamwork. It was the effort. But I'll tell you, I can remember to this day taking this group of friends through from my church that I had gone to, and we walked through the building, and I'm just going, hey, and over here, I'm going to do this. And over here, I see this. And over here, we're going to do this. And we get to the end of the tour, and he looks at me, one of the people that was in the group of people I was giving it to, he goes, Karen, I'm really glad you're excited, but there's no way you can do this. His wife, yeah, I'm sorry, Karen. I just can't see it. There's no way. What can you do? And I'm listening, and I'm like, get off my property. I didn't say that. I didn't kick him off, but I'll tell you, I did not invite him back until the grand opening, because I don't need that in my life. I cannot become a couple of years ago, I sat there in this perfect little house in Cedar City going, God, I need a country to organize. I need something to do. You know me. I've got to do something. This is not where my life is supposed to be. I can't keep doing what I'm doing. I am not in my comfort zone. I am so far out of my vision and my comfort zone, right? And so having that vision and knowing what your destiny is, what your goal is, what your drive is, it's so important. And the last thing I want to really say on this is, you're going to do this, whatever your vision is, if it's going to be, I'm going to work at Lily Fields and run that entire farm. Okay, great. Please sign up. Okay. I desperately need you. But I just thought I'd put a little like sublingual message in there. But anyhow, so whatever your vision is, right? Sublingual, that's the wrong word.
Subliminal.
Subtle, very subtle.
Very subtle. Okay, thank you. But like whatever it is, but put it out there. But the thing I wanted to end with was you do not put out there, I'm going to, well, I recommend not putting out there, I'm going to be heard by 60,000 people by the end of the year. I'm going to be this, like, no. Let me tell you what has made holistic health educators what it is right now, and what has made holistic health educators have the friendships and the love with our students that we have that you cannot find anywhere else, is that we serve for the one. Always. I speak to the one. I don't care if there's one person who shows up for my class or 4,000 people that show up. I do not care who I'm talking to. Every one of them is going to go home thinking I actually prepared my lesson for them. That's why I hate PowerPoints and I hardly ever follow them, because God didn't write my PowerPoint, but God will talk through me. And if I am expected to present in front of a group of people, God's going to lead me. I'm going to feel his inspiration. I'm going to get the downloads, and I want to present that way, because what matters to me is the one person will hear me. The one person will feel that. And I just think that's super important. And I mean, over and over and over, I can attest to stories about that, but you don't need 60,000 likes or views on anything. You just need the one who's going to help propel you to the next one and the next one and the next one. And then it'll become a river, and then it'll become an ocean, and then it'll become your world you're immersed in.
Well, thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Amy.
And I got to see you as the example of doing it for the one over and over and over and over in my childhood. This whole project was never about you. It was never about you. And yeah, I've been able to reach a lot of people because of that. So thank you for your example of that, Mom.
You're very welcome. I hope you've all read my book. I really do. And if you haven't read my book, as soon as the final edit is done, I'm just gonna spend a lot of my savings and just print it myself, because right now to print them on order is so much money. It's $167. But I will tell you, when you read that book, and those of you who've read it, I prayed the whole time I wrote that book that you would know it was for you. And that's how I ended it. And I've gotten so much feedback from that. I just think that's how we need to live our lives. You know, I really do. I've always felt that though.
Yay. Yay. Love it. Well, thank you, Karen. Greg, you have any last words of contribution?
That's a tough act to follow right there. I don't know that I can add anything to that, so I'll just bow out gracefully.
Sounds good. You guys are amazing. Well, beautiful. We can go ahead and wrap it up. Then we extend our encouragement to anyone who's tuning in either live or listening to the replay of this. I just truly love the people who find themselves here. And I don't get to do a lot of the onboarding calls anymore, but I noticed that when we do onboarding calls and every person we talk to has a story and they have a vision. That's like, who ends up here? These people have something they want to give the world, and something just healing and hope that they want to give others. And I'm really happy Karen and Greg could just share a little bit about our background story, because what we would hate to happen is for any of you to have this vision in your heart or to have this fire in your chest and to not receive the support that you need to make that come true. Because we're just the biggest believers that the shifts we want to see in our country and in our healthcare system are going to start at the personal level, and then the family level, and then the community level, and then the state level, and then the country level. It's like a total bottom-up approach, and that happens from us being connected to each other. So please don't let yourself negative thought spiral. If that ever happens to you, reach out and get support, please, from our team, because we wouldn't have invited you to join the space if we didn't believe in what you want to bring the world. And we definitely are stronger together. So
Before you wrap it up, can I just mention one thing, honey?
Yeah.
And I want to go back to the house and order deal. I don't know how many of you do feng shui, but it works. Like if you could have someone come in your home who does feng shui, it will change your life. It will change the energy of how you sleep. It'll change the energy of what you get done in a day. It will change your life. That was my favorite thing to do when I still had little babies at home, was going to people's homes and organize it and feng shui the thing. And I'm telling you, their lives literally overnight were changed. So you can start right now by literally getting rid of everything behind any door, clean out your closets, organize what you've got going on, but like get rid of stuff. And I don't care if it's your kids' stuff. They're not touching it. Get rid of it. They don't care. They're not going to forget it. It's like literally that is one of the best things you can do. I really want to throw that in there, Amy, because, and then what if you're interested in like a mind, like maybe we do something where if you want a mind group, you want that mastermind group, why don't you share your names inside of the chat right now and take a few minutes to connect to some other people that are here. If you have a vision, you can put, I am envisioning this. Does anybody want to help me with my mind, with my vision? And literally have a meeting with 4 people that you're meeting right here, or 6 people, or 10 of you get together and be like, okay, let's just do that. We all want a mind map together. We all want to do something like that. I just think that'd be really great. So use the chat section here. You're safe. These are wonderful people. We don't know everybody, obviously, but please reach out and find that group of people. If you want 1 or 2 more people, then ask someone right here, if they want to help beyond your hour planning or your 2-hour, and remember to offer them something. You don't have any money, bake them cookies and send them in the mail. Do something. There needs to be exchange of gifts there and resources. If there's no exchange, people can feel taken advantage of. So always make sure that you offer. At least they can say no, but please make sure you're offering, because that appreciation just really goes a long way.
well, and I would say yes, there can be an exchange. And also, like most people I've met who have wisdom to share the world are more than happy to give
Yes.
that freely, actually. So it's as easy as asking. There are a lot of people who would show up for you to support you however they can.
And open your chat. And found the link to the butterfly story. And I haven't heard it in years. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna listen to it myself. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Really enjoyed tonight's call.
Yes.
And I'm gonna end the recording now, and we'll see you next week on Monday Night Madness.
Yeah.